Okay, so we just going to get the raw content, and
All
if it
right.
we don't want in it, we'll just ask the producer, take that out, take that out.
Sometimes
Oh,
I
Ruthie.
like going that way with it though, because you just never know what's going to come out from that. So,
You don't know what's going to come out, and here we are trying to help somebody. And the first thing that I want to do, because this light is shining in my eyes. See, this is the behind the scenes look at when you podcasting. This strobe light is like, I don't have the overhead lights on, but it's on. I was doing some work. Listen. This
the
is
way it goes.
every host of About This Life. And I am so very, very pleased to have my long-term friend here. Hi, Ruthie Searcy.
Well, hello, Miss Anne Marie. Thank you so much for having me. And I think this start of this is exactly what we're talking about today, right? Being authentic and not so polished up.
And not so polished. And you know, About This Life, it's like I forgot to say what's the purpose of the show. About This Life is about taking a look at your belief system, taking a look at your mindsets, and making some changes because we all want to be better, right? We all want to make some improvement in our lives. And Ruthie, you are a coach. Okay, this clarified life. Just out the gate, what is this clarified life?
So, what I do is I help women who do too much release that overwhelm and help them get clarity on the things that matter the most so that they can move forward, focusing on those things with more purpose and peace and joy in their lives.
Okay, I appreciate your saying that. And so we have clarity right up front. So, Ruthie, in terms of doing this messy, one of the things we understand here is I wanted to look presentable. So, took off the glasses so I could change the top. The glasses are somewhere over there in that area. So if I'm squinting, you
Oh,
can
goodness.
you understand.
I
So
do. I do.
one of the things, Ruthie, you are a coach, and I am a coach. And one of the things we are so excited about doing this work. We are so excited about helping people. But here's the thing, serving, helping others, there is a burnout factor. And there is, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. But it's constant. It's constant.
Hmm.
So, have you experienced hitting a wall anywhere in your coaching journey as we move through this? Have you hit a wall any place?
I think my most recent hitting of a wall has happened within the last couple of months, actually. And here's the thing, there's so much because as we're coaching others, at least for me, I want to continue to improve myself as well,
Hmm.
right? So that I can help others even more effectively. And we all don't know all the things. We all have places to grow in our skill set, in our
Yes.
knowledge, and whatever.
Hmm.
And so, as a learner, primarily myself, I can get wrapped up in all of that learning. And all of a sudden, I look around and I'm like, I'm not implementing anything. I'm not helping anybody else, right? Because I'm absorbing all of this for myself. And so
Hmm.
that's where I was a couple of months ago. And that's not a bad thing. Like I needed to learn the things that I was learning over the last couple of years, but I also recognized that I needed to take a step back from that now and put that new knowledge, new skill set into some action.
Yes. Into some action and press through our comfort zones. I can
Mm-hmm.
tell you, I'm an educator, and then I can see where this conversation is going because we're going to be talking about each other, and you can feel free to ask me a question too. My background in education, it always says that teachers are perpetual learners. And exactly as you said, because what you said reminded me of that, because we are always learning, we are always improving. And while we're learning and improving our craft in terms of how to help others, there's the learning, and then there's the doing, and then there's the being. And very often of those three, the being often gets left out. And here's what I mean by being. Being is being who you are. It means filling your cup, and to be able to fill your cup so that you can show up as your authentic self. Um, how have you filled your being in terms of filling your cup?
Yeah. So at the end of October, I took a whole week, unheard of in my entire
Mhm.
adult life. I took a whole week's vacation. No work, no internet, no nothing. And I just spent time out in nature and time with the Lord. Um, I went to a mutual friend of ours, Sue Anderson. I went to her retreat.
Hi,
I spent
Sue.
I spent 2 days there, and it was just so awesome. But it was also a little weird because that first night I was like, what am I supposed to do with myself? You know, I don't have anything I'm supposed to be doing. And so just trying to sit in that stillness and quiet, even though that's what I teach, you know, it was just it was awkward for about an hour, and then I sunk into it, and I'm like, okay, it's going to be okay. This is what you're here for, right? And I think we all need that. I think it's good at least once a year to just take that time, but we also need that in our daily life as well,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not feasible to take a week's vacation every week,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so we can find that stillness and that time to come back to ourselves in just a couple of minutes a day, to just be still and hear what the Lord is saying. And He reminded me, this is what I told you to do 2 years ago. And you started on that. And like I said, the time that you spent not doing that was also necessary because there were some things you needed to learn. But now it's time to come back to this and focus back on that.
Absolutely. And so much of what you say holds true because I'm on the East Coast and it was a beautiful fall day, a little breezy. And I said to myself, I have to go outside and walk. And this is a tip for listeners, for the audience, that there is something about being outside in nature. And that walk refreshed me, made me feel more energetic,
Mhm.
and provided what I needed for the moment. And another tip is somebody somewhere learn some breath work. Because the way we breathe, inhale and exhale, it calms our nervous system. It calms it down. But you're right, Ruthie. Everybody can't take a month off or take a week off. And so you have to find a few minutes in each day. So you got away. What are some fun things? You went and visited Sue. She has a retreat
Mhm.
center. What are some other fun things that you did?
So, it was beautiful to see her place. And then I Did a little bit of hiking while I was there. I
Mm-hmm.
spent 2 nights in her dome house, and just they've got the top of it clear plexiglass, so you can just look up at the stars. And the way they built it is like you're in the tops of the trees, right? Because it's raised up. And so I'm looking at the tops of the trees and the stars and the moon, and I'm just like, it's just so peaceful feeling,
Mm-hmm.
and uh
Yeah.
just
Being
relaxing. Yeah.
being close to God. Ruthie, do you ever feel like you have to explain you're taking time off or rest, whether it's to your clients or to your network of who you work with, like other coaches or your business associates? Do you ever feel like you have to explain to them, or that doesn't bother you? You're just like,
That's a great question, because up until a couple of years ago, I did feel like I had to justify taking time off, right? Even during a week. And that's partly on me because I'm so work driven, and I want to make sure things are
hmm
done well and correctly. And so sometimes I take on more than I should because I won't hand it off to another person,
hmm
And so that's just all things that I've been working through and growing on, so that I can sit on the couch on a Sunday afternoon and not be like, I've got 900 things to do that need to get done, you know? Um, and it's something that has come on gradually. And so to roundabout answer your question, no, I do not explain myself to people anymore. I used to. But
Power
now,
sister.
now it's me time, and my clients know what my work hours are. If somebody like reaches out to me and says, "Hey, do you want to do this?" I'm like, "These are the times I can do that." And if that doesn't work out, then we'll just have to figure out another time.
Power to you, sister. It is interesting. And for the coaches who are listening, especially when you're an affiliate or you work with someone, I found myself trying to explain to someone why I couldn't do something. And I got angry at myself because I'm thinking, why do I have to explain to this person? Because they don't walk in my shoes, they don't know my life. So you reach a point when you say to yourself, I don't care if you understand or not.
Hmm.
These moments, we need to take for ourselves.
Right.
And that is a serious mindset shift for a lot of people, that you
Hmm.
have to take moments for yourselves and do the types of things that you do. And in fact, that's how this episode came about, because I'm just like, go ahead, because you posted this fact that you disconnected from the world and now, and you had to take some time. And I'm like, go ahead, Ruthie.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. And
mhm,
I think it stems from like just our culture, right? We're
mhm,
taught to go to school, go to college, you know, learn enough things to get a good paying job. And then when we
mhm,
step into that, we spend 40, 50, 60, 80 hours a week working for that job, right? And that doesn't benefit us in any kind of way other than a paycheck. But what we're really doing is furthering that business's growth or whatever. And
mhm,
so when you start to break away from that, as many coaches are doing now, they're trying to do their own thing and serve people in their own way. It's hard to relearn and rewire your brain to say, I'm not out here to please a boss, right?
say that again. Say that
I'm
again.
not out here to please a boss. I'm out here to do what I've been called to do without burning myself out.
I am out here to do what I've been called to do without burning myself out. Because the truth of the matter is, if you burn yourself out, it's like an oxymoron. It's an opposite of your calling,
Mhm.
because God did not call us to be overwhelmed and do everything ourselves. Uh, you mentioned God a lot, Ruthie, and talk to us about your calling, because you say God called you to do this. How do you know that God called you to do this and it wasn't your rational mind speaking?
That's something that I used to wrestle with quite a bit. Like I would not make a decision to do anything until I was like sure that it was God and not me. And I would sit in prayer with the Lord and just say, "Is this what am I? Is it my brain saying
Mm-hmm.
yes? This is what I want and justifying it, or is it really you?" You know. And for a long time, it was a struggle, and for a long time, I didn't always hear, and so I would just go off on my own, but he
Mm-hmm.
always brings us back, right? And I guess just through that faithfulness and understanding when I do hear him and knowing that even if I want it faster than he's planning, he's still got control over all of it. That faith, his faithfulness and my faithfulness to his faithfulness is what makes me understand that it's
Yes.
his calling and not mine.
So we have a coach who has a relationship with God. And I think here's why I think it's important. Truth be told, it's no secret that there's a boom in coaching. Lord knows, we know. There's a gazillion coaches out there, right?
Right. Yes.
Because when we are in our learning phase, we run into them, whether online or here and there. And a lot of times you can encounter coaches who are just there for the money, or just there to make a profit.
Hmm.
There is a difference when you have a coach such as yourself who's there to serve and who's spirit guided.
Yeah.
In what ways do you serve? I mean, your business is this clarified life. And I'm on your Facebook page, you're on mine, so we see one another's posts. But a lot of your postings have to do with organization and putting things um, in order. So, what do you do, and why do we need what you do?
So this is something that I've done like all of my life, even before I can remember. And I
Mm-hmm.
always just thought everybody did this. Like everybody thought this way. And so I'll just be totally vulnerable here. Books are alphabetized. Videotapes are alphabetized. CDs are alphabetized. Because I don't know how to function any other way when things are not in their place. I get disorganized, even in my thoughts. And I just thought this everybody thought this way until I, got older and I'm like, oh, most people do not think this
And
way.
can I introduce you to my ADHD? I mean, I didn't have it as a child, but I have it now.
Most people do not think this way, right? And so I used to like shy away from it. Like I
Mm-hmm.
would sit in groups and I wouldn't speak up because I would be like afraid of them thinking about how weird I was or whatever. on any given day. And then as I started managing people at my job, I was like, oh, they need to hear what I have to share. And I have that ability to explain it this way to one person and that way to
Mm-hmm.
another, and because I can see where they're tangled up. It's like, I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
anybody on your audience crafts, but it's like taking a ball of yarn. And sometimes when you get to the middle of the yarn, the factory has it all in a knot. And I will sit there and pick to the to the loose end and just start pulling it apart to where it gets back to what it's supposed to be. And I do this with people too. Like I can
Mm-hmm.
see where they're kind of all knotted up and help them find that string to loosen up.
Absolutely. And I have found, tell me if you found this, that people are knotted up and they don't realize where they're knotted up. So, for example, somebody who sits in disorganization around them, they might just think, "Oh, I'm a messy person," or "I know where everything is." But that might not be the knot. The knot might be their executive functioning skills,
Right.
or the knot might be even a childhood issue. You
Mm-hmm.
know, something
Sometimes.
happened in childhood. Maybe you got punished one way or the other. And so it's interesting because people often don't see these things in themselves. Are you
Mm-hmm.
able to see things in people that they otherwise wouldn't know?
Yes, and I see it in kind of a unique way. So, this analogy works best. If you're standing at the edge of the forest, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can see all the trees. Most people can see all the trees. They might be able to see the beginning of the path that's going through the forest. I can see the trees, each individual leaf, the path. I can see the log that's 20 feet down the path that's blocking the road, and I already know how we're going to remove it. Like it's that's how I see the world. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's how I'm able to help people is because they see this
Surface level.
yeah, limited view, right? Like they can only see so far. And I'm like, I already know what's coming up and I can help you navigate through that.
Absolutely. And see the interconnected, going back to the ball of yarn too, how things are interconnected, especially when that yarn is different colors. And so
Hmm.
people are exactly like that. And that's what we do. That's why we're coaches. That's how we help people
Hmm.
to untangle this yarn. But getting back to this idea of rest. Because sometimes I shake my head and I go, no, 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 no. And I'm just like, not one more thing, not one more thing on the plate, and so on and so forth. So, what is something that might have been scary for you to do in terms of taking care of your rest that you have found beneficial for your business, you know?
Hmm. Um, I think that probably the scariest thing was learning how to say no to things
Yes.
because inside of us all, we have this fear of missing out, right? We call it FOMO. It's called FOMO for a reason, right? Like,
Yes.
and it can display itself in different ways. Not missing out because some people miss out because they want to be included with whatever's trendy or whatever. My fear of missing out was I was always afraid that I was going to miss out on something valuable that I needed to learn either for myself or for somebody else. Right. And so I want to do all the things, all the things. And at some point, you're not learning anything anymore because there's just too much on the
Mm-hmm.
plate. And so, what I had to start doing is evaluate and spend time with the Lord. Does this align with what you want me to do?
Mm-hmm.
You know? So, it's not about missing out anymore. It, it's about I'm doing the things that are in alignment with what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yes. And the the strength to say no, because like I'm so glad we're having this conversation
Mm-hmm.
because after we finish here, I have some decisions to make, because the thing is, let's call them projects, that I'm capable of doing the projects. I have the skill sets to do it. But if I do everything, I will be in overwhelm.
Mm-hmm.
And FOMO is in play.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes down to, um, can you do everything well? You can do it, but if you take on everything, can you do it well?
Right.
So, the show's about mindset shift. So here's a question. How do we get to a place, and you responded in a way because you talked about aligned with God. How do we get to a practice in our lives where we're comfortable with saying it's okay for me to say no? It's okay for me to know, yeah, that's something I can do, but now's not the right timing. So walk us through. You mentioned God again. So walk us through the type of conversations you have with God to help people like me and people who are listening say, I'm not going to be able to do all of this well.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. I'm just trying to think, like, I don't know how to really answer this. I'm just gonna take a minute and think about this. Like, what do I say to
Hmm.
the Lord? I think
Hmm.
when something new comes up, I'm like, I just present it to him. I'm like, Lord, this is the
Hmm.
opportunity. This is why I think I need it, or or want it, maybe. Not always need it, right?
Hmm.
And I just I just wait for him to confirm if it's something I need or not. I can't really explain it a
Yeah.
different way. And that doesn't necessarily happen overnight. It can be a process sometimes where I have to go back and keep asking, is this what you want me to be
Hmm.
doing? And there are other times where something comes up and I'm like, oh, I need that. And I don't talk to him about it first. And, I've
Hmm.
paid for the thing and I'm doing the thing. And the thing gets done. It gets done pretty well. But I never went to him and said, was that
Yeah.
in alignment? You know? And so when you're doing both of those things, you start to learn. Your mind starts to change, right? That okay, this was there were positive outcomes from this thing that I decided to do, but it didn't necessarily move me further in what God has called me
Hmm.
to do, right? And so you start to learn to always go to him. I don't Does that help?
To always go to him. And as you're speaking, I had another download from our Father. Another download. And this is ego. And I say ego because there's fear of missing out, FOMO, that you brought up. There's alignment with God that you brought up. And the third part of that is ego. You know, what makes a person thinks that they're so good, like they're the only one who can do the job, or they're the only one who can make something happen. And it's almost like we're trained like that by society, though, to think that way. I'm just relaxing here, Ruthie.
That's good. You do that. You do
My
that.
cup of tea.
That's right.
We're having a conversation, friend. Because
Yes.
you are psychoanalyzing me as God is giving me all these insights and downloads.
I'm not doing anything but having a conversation. Holy
Yes.
Spirit's doing the rest. So, I mean, yeah,
Ego.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ego in what you just said, and also in, like I was saying, when I would make a decision to do something without talking to him first. Oh, like
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay making this decision. I don't need your help, you know. That's what
Mm-hmm.
we're really saying to the Lord when we don't bring it to him first.
Mm-hmm.
And we're human. That's gonna happen. But the
Mm-hmm.
more and more that I see him bring me back to what he wants
Mm-hmm.
and straighten that curvy path up,
Mm-hmm.
the more I'm like, okay, I just need to die to myself and let you lead every time in every decision.
Die to self and let him lead. I'm back to the metaphor with the ball of yarn, and another thought came through is this sense of fear of failure. It's like if a project is if somebody doesn't say yes to a project, um, will the business fail? You know, um, will the business lead lose momentum? So how do you in your coaching business? Okay, we're getting behind the scenes right here. We're getting behind the scenes with what we don't show everybody.
It's
How
all
do you
right.
in your coaching business handle like the fear of failure? You know, fear that, oh my goodness, this might not work out. How because it's not realistic to think we don't think about it. We do. So how do
Hmm.
you handle it?
I think so. I started in business back in 2016,
Mm-hmm.
and it's never been like enough income for me to quit my full-time job. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's not what society would necessarily call a successful business
Mm-hmm.
monetarily. And there were many, many years where I'm like, Lord, why am I still doing this? You
Mm-hmm.
know, because I did feel like a failure. And what I learned about myself specifically is more than a fear of failure, I had a fear of too much success.
Mm-hmm.
I was holding my own self back. I wasn't going where he led me to go to get out of my comfort zone, to put myself in new situations, in new opportunities that he was opening doors for. And I just look at the door and run the other way,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because of this fear of success. And so, to answer your question, how do we get past the fear of failure? For me, it's the trust that he gave me this business.
Yes. And so
Whatever happens in it is whatever happens in it.
it's his. So definitely as a coach, Ruthie, it's clear that for you, this business is God's business.
Hmm.
This is God's business.
Yep.
Yes. Um, the other thought I was having, you know, I don't know if this came up on the recording, or yeah, I think it did. It's part of the conversation. I made mention that, okay, I had to go change my shirt and I took off my glasses, so I'm squinty eyed right now. And one of the things that can hold some people back is when you look at other coaches. Oh my God. I'm like, that person looks so beautiful, and that person, their hair is awesome, you know, and that person, it just, oh my gosh, they're just oozing this look. And I'm just like, what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
Would I like a different set? Yes. But I'm just like, I just don't have the, I don't want to say I don't have the time, but that's not us. That's not me to be fancy and dolled up. And I think about that sometimes. The question is, what image or what do you want to come across to other people? What
Mhm.
is name that thing that's important to you that comes across. For some of us, it's the beauty and the fashion and, I look awesomeness, but that's not us. So if
Right.
that's not us, what is it that you want to come across?
I think I want people to hear, like we've talked about this whole episode, right? That God is important in my life, and I'm not going to force that onto a client or anything like that, but that is how I operate everything I do in my life. And so my heart is that I am here to help in any way I can. I'm here to serve, you know, and really, I've been doing that for the past 30 years. I just didn't know it. It was
Mhm.
just manifested itself in different ways. Um, and now that there's an opportunity to potentially make some income from it, that's fine. But I lead with service first.
Service first. Yes and amen. You're also an author.
Yeah. Thanks
What's
to
the name
you.
of your book?
You started that fire. The name of my book is called From Overwhelmed to On Purpose. And it's just the foundational, it's written a lot like a workbook. It's the foundational of how I came to this place for myself and how I can
Hmm.
help other people get past this guilt for resting, this overwhelmed feeling, all of those types of things. It's the starting point.
Absolutely. And so people can order it from Amazon, I
Yeah,
assume, and all
yeah,
those wonderful places. And so at the end of the day, you're in this business to serve as according to God's calling and to just really be directed and guided by Him and not let overwhelm take advantage of you, and also to build in rest.
yes,
And you're
yes.
a poet too.
I know.
And you didn't know that about yourself.
I did not know that about myself. So, yeah, and we all need that. We all
Mm-hmm.
need other people to help us see the things that we can't see for ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because we've been, connected to each other for a while. For 2.5 years, I said I was
Yes.
never going to write a book.
Yes.
And then I
Never
came up
say never when God's involved.
and Mostly it was because I thought I didn't know how. Like I thought I didn't
Mhm.
have anything to say, right? Or how to get it published or any of that. And then I came on to one of your gatherings and we wrote that poem together and just how we walked through it in the group. And I was like, it came out pretty good. I was like, oh, there are words in here that need to be let out,
It sure
that other
does.
people need to hear. So we all need that.
Awesome sauce. Okay. Um, in terms of closing,
Mhm.
what do you hope will happen in 2026?
What I hope happens in 2026 is that people, women in particular, um, understand that they're not behind, they're not failing, they're not too little or too much. They're just overwhelmed, and it's okay. It's okay to say no to things that don't match your passions. It's okay to take rest for yourself. It's okay to do all of these things. And that's really the message I'm trying to send out to people because society as a whole has enough coming at us on any given day, right?
Hmm.
24-hour news cycle, all the whatever happening in the world, and we don't need to add more to ourselves
Hmm.
with all that coming at us already.
Absolutely. And so I would like to ask our audience to please, please, please go ahead. You've listened now, hopefully. So you're at the end of this episode. Would you please go ahead, give me a like about this life and share it with someone as well as subscribe. We've hit some milestones this year. We would love to double our algorithms in terms of reaching a wider audience with the information that we have to share. So please go ahead, subscribe, and share. This is Ian Marie. I'm here with my guest, Ruthie Searcy, and we are on About This Life, where we are changing our lives one day at a time. Take care.